So we just got the official post going over what we're going to be seeing in the next Diablo 4 developer livestream. This is going to be on March 5th at 11 a.m. PST, and you can watch it on YouTube or on Twitch. And the primary focus of this livestream is going to be giving us an in-depth look at the upcoming class, the Warlock, but they are also going to be discussing the next season coming to Diablo 4. And I'm not actually sure if this is going to be the pre-season livestream where the developers go over their learnings from the PTR or not, because it is seeming like there's actually a lot of information we don't know about season 12 yet, or we don't officially know about season 12, because that's one of the things I wanted to go over in this video, what I think could be coming with this live stream. And I also wanted to re-go over a lot of the leaked information we have that could be in season 12, seemingly pointing towards some really interesting content coming with the season that they haven't officially revealed yet. And then I also wanted to go over something specific to the Warlock. Now they also say tune in to get a sweeping look at the Warlock, a demonologist born of Vajari blood, learn the origins of the dark class, their occult talents, skills, and mastery of the craft. Then we'll reveal what's coming to the game with the next season, and dive further into kill streaks, blood-stained items, and more. There will also be a Q&A segment at the end of the live stream, and then there are also 2 Twitch drops. You can get 2 cosmetics, one for a wand, one for a scythe, and while the scythe would fit very well with a Warlock, even a wand would fit well with a Warlock. I don't know if this is necessarily indicating anything, because pretty much every time we've seen the Warlock in like official gameplay, they always seem to be using like a big 2-handed sword. So I'm wondering exactly how that's going to go, but that's what we're going to be seeing with the live stream. Now comes to what could potentially actually be in this live stream. Now the first and potential biggest thing that we could possibly see with this live stream is the Warlock going live with season 12. This is obviously going to be the big showcase of the Warlock, going over all of their skills. There was actually a released video by, I think, IGN that wasn't supposed to be released that a lot of people downloaded, and actually showed like 12 minutes of gameplay of the Warlock, showing a ton of really cool stuff. Presumably there will be a bunch of gameplay videos of the Warlock released at this point as well, possibly being further information that we could be seeing the Warlock as playable in season 12. But this is going to be the showcase of going over pretty much everything of the Warlock, all of their cool skills, how their talents work, all that type of stuff, their background. This will be a very big showcase going over everything about the Warlock. And a lot of people are theorizing that because that's the case, and because it's still a few months away from the expansion, that we will be able to play the Warlock in season 12 exactly how we were able to play the Paladin in season 11. Now, this could happen, and I don't rule anything out, because I was still pretty skeptical of the Paladin being shadow dropped with season 11, which ended up happening. A bunch of crazy stuff has obviously happened since then, with the expansion looking crazy, getting 2 classes. So there is very much a possibility that the Warlock does get kind of shadow dropped with the season, even though if it was announced at this, it would be before the season. But I still think this is somewhat of a possibility, just because it would again be something really cool. It seems like the Diablo team is just trying to shadow drop and do cool things without us knowing until it's pretty much happening. They shadow drop a new expansion into Diablo 2 after 20 years. There's nothing off the table. I do think it's a higher chance that the Warlock is saved for the expansion, because they still want a new class releasing specifically with the expansion. And the reason we got the Paladin shadow drop is because we have 2 classes coming. I wouldn't rule it out that we just get the Warlock with season 12 as well if you pre-ordered the expansion. Now the other big piece of information we're going to be getting with this stream is more information on season 12, because as you may recall, season 12 already had its PTR. We got a handful of new systems and things we got to test out, but they specifically said in the PTR article that this was not everything about season 12, and there would be more things later down the road. Now within the PTR, if you used a controller and used the buttons to go to the seasonal journal panel, you could actually get to a work in progress version on the PTR that you normally shouldn't be able to get to. And we were able to see a bunch of the work in progress season journey objectives, a bunch of which shows us new content we have not heard about yet. Specifically things like a slaughterhouse mechanic that is listed as a seasonal dungeon, which seems pretty crazy. We also got a bunch of challenges to get a certain amount of monster kills in a limited time playing as the Butcher, and it is specifically detailed to be as the Butcher. So potentially we are going to be able to play actually as the Butcher, and there are a bunch of different tiered versions of these seasonal journeys. So to get even more and more kills as you go higher up in difficulties. Then there was an objective to defeat Wanderers in these slaughterhouse dungeons. Maybe a misspelling of Wanderers. So maybe there are like NPC versions of our class in these slaughterhouses. Then one of the objectives was about getting mastery in slaughterhouses. So it seems these slaughterhouses also have a mastery system. So they're going to be more involved, maybe more difficult or timed or something like that. Then we also got another one to splatter at least 75% of the floors in a bloodbath slaughterhouse. So not only is there seeming to be this seasonal dungeon, we could potentially play as the Butcher. There are masteries in this dungeon, but it also seems to be multiple floors. There also seem to be different versions of slaughterhouses. This one is a bloodbath, and there's some splatter mechanic in it. So after looking at all of these leaked seasonal journey objectives, the main theory I have is that there's going to be this new seasonal dungeon mechanic or system with season 12 where we can play as the Butcher in these slaughterhouse dungeons. We're facing other monsters and potentially NPC versions of our Wanderers, so our playable classes, and we're just running around as a Butcher, splattering everything we come across. There's going to be probably endgame versions with multiple floors, and then there's going to be some splatter mechanic and mastery mechanic within these. So just this multi-floor massive dungeon where we get to run around and splatter everything while playing as the actual Butcher. That's my main theory. I'm not saying that's necessarily correct. That's just kind of what I'm thinking about after going over all of these seasonal journey objectives, and I think that could actually be really fun. This is obviously going to be a shorter season just because there is going to be a new season with the expansion, so it would make sense to just kind of throw out some crazy fun idea that isn't as serious when it's a much shorter season. And more than likely, whatever all of this stuff ends up being, we will probably be getting told about it with this developer live stream, unless they just want to keep all of this secret and we just log in on season 12 and have to go discover it, which I don't think is probably going to happen. They'll probably give us at least an overview of this content. So that is my theory of what's going to be happening in this developer live stream. We will be getting the Warlock. There is a chance we will be able to play the Warlock in season 12. And then my theory for season 12 is that we can play as the Butcher in these new multi-floor dungeons. So we just run around and splatter everything in front of us. But that's all I want to go over. So thanks for watching.
Branda's traitor, outlaw, warlock.
Let them hang us for what we've done.
But when darkness comes for us, it will see hell screaming back.